creativity, and community this school year. Elevating the Arts grants provided competitive funding for projects, research, and events to increase student participation in the arts. This broadcast you're watching right now is brought to you by an Elevating the Arts grant. Last week, we talked to 4 recipients of these grants to discuss their proposals. Today, we'll talk to 2 more. This recipient gave students the chance to live like nuns and monks. Monastic Camp was a one-day immersive event that explored Catholic monastic liturgy, art, music, architecture, and literature. Students prayed the Liturgy of the Hours, sang Gregorian chant, and ate monastic-style meals. Professor Catherine Ware of the Catholic Studies Department is here to discuss her grant. Can you walk me through a day in the life at Monastic Camp?
Sure. We had a lot of fun. So it was just a one-day event, but we were together for nearly 12 hours. So they came in the morning, and we learned some basics of Gregorian chant, and then throughout the day we chanted 6 Liturgy of the Hours, and in between that we had different speakers, and I arranged some different workshops with different people on all these different topics, and meanwhile, of course, enjoying some meals together, culminating with that meal at the end of the day in that U-shape monastic formation with some silence and reading, and then enjoying conversation at the end together. But students really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what were some of the topics the speakers spoke about?
Yeah, a real variety of things. So there was the Abbot Emeritus from St. John's University who came and gave our keynote speech on the Rule of St. Benedict. And then we had a nun from St. Ben's who talked about Lectio Divina. We had a professor from the English department speak about Julian of Norwich, and then someone from the art department talking about illuminated manuscripts.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a variety of people. That is so cool.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that students really connected with?
I think that the 2 biggest takeaways for students were having the opportunity to learn Gregorian chant. We had kind of 2 main lessons throughout the day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, learning some of the basics of the different scales, and then trying them out, of course, as we were chanting the various offices. So the Gregorian chant was definitely kind of number 1 on students' list of things at the end of the day. And then the other thing, which I guess it shouldn't have been a surprise, but many of them said that it was the first time that they had ever met a monk or a nun. And so actually meeting people who that is their rhythm of their life, chanting the offices throughout the day, and that life of prayer and service. And so having their witness there was really exciting for students.
Yeah, were a majority of the students who went there Catholic, or?
I think so, but it wasn't a requirement. Anyone could have joined in, and but I think many of them were. Some of them were a part of the liturgical choir already here on campus, and so that gave them kind of a boost to their learning for the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how can students take what they experienced at Monastic Camp and incorporate it into their everyday lives?
Well, I think many of them have. I should say, I hope. I mean, this is a one day event, but the learning certainly in Gregorian chant, I think, is something that they took with them. But the skills in how to do Lectio Divina, for instance, or learning more about illuminated manuscripts, all these different things might have, I hope, sparked interest to continue to learn more.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully they can find classes here on campus that could further those interests that they got to experience.
Yeah, that's right. That was, it was part of the initial thought for it, because last fall I taught a class called The Spirit and Art of the Medieval Monastery. And the one thing I could not give my students was an experience of the monastic day. What did it actually feel like to be in the chapel praying, to come out and work or have a meal and then go back? And so that was my initial thought. But there were some students from my class, but many other students as well. And so, a variety of students got to experience something that was initially part of a class.
Yeah, 100%. Well, so glad that they could take the 12 hours and spend that with you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Art History and Visual Culture Department brought students and faculty to embark on 3 field trips to Twin Cities museums, university galleries, and sacred architectural sites. Students saw historical art pieces and created community and professional connections. Here to talk about their experience is Chair of the Art History and Visual Culture Department, Professor Heather Shirey, and Adjunct Professor Suzanne Burke. Thank you two so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. Professor Shirey, what were some of the sites that you guys visited?
Well, we had 3 days of field trips, 3 full days. So on the first day, we decided to visit museums and galleries on university campuses. So for that, we started here on campus, and we went to the Monahan Gallery right here in the same building where we are. And then we went to the Anderson Student Center and went to the American Museum of Osmond Art. And then we left campus and we went to the Nash Gallery at the University of Minnesota. And we went to the MCAD, Minnesota College of Art and Design. Is that correct? Minneapolis College of Art and Design. And then we got back on the bus and we went down to St. Olaf and visited the galleries down there.
Yeah, so great. Out of all of those, what was the most memorable site that you saw?
Oh, that's really difficult. It's really difficult to say. I mean, I would say it was fantastic to be on campus with students who had never actually gone to the galleries that we have right here on campus. And I think students really took away from that the idea that we have fantastic art right here on campus. And then at each site, we also were able to visit with artists and curators. And so for me personally, it was fantastic to be at the Nash Gallery and hear from artist Christopher Harrison, who talked about his work in that gallery space. I really loved that, but students really enjoyed the chance to meet artists and curators firsthand. But we also had 2 other days of field trips, and actually Suzanne went along on both of those, so I should let her talk a little bit about what they did on those days.
Yeah, do you want to describe those?
Sure. The second field trip was Sacred Spaces in central Minnesota. We went to the Hindu Temple of Minnesota, which is in, what town is that? I don't know. But that was really incredible. We had a private tour of that, and most of our participants had never been there before. And then third, we went to St. John's Abbey Cathedral and Chapel, and Dr. Victoria Young ran that field trip, and that was really impressive because she wrote books on that chapel and had a lot of information for our participants. The third field trip we just had on the 25th, and we went to we called it the Big 3 museums, so local museums. We started at the M Museum, it's called, so it's the Minnesota Museum of American Art. We had a private tour with docents there. And secondly, we went to the MIA, we call it, short for Minneapolis Museum Institute of Art. We got to see the Art in Bloom exhibition, so that's over now. So if you missed it, next year you have another chance. But the real treat was the print study room. So in the print study room, we had a private viewing of works that we got to choose ahead of time, all works on paper. They had them all set up for us. The curator displayed everything, gave us magnifying glasses even, and we could get close and really look at the details of Rembrandt prints, and it was really quite incredible. A lot of the participants were taken by that experience. Lastly, we went to the Walker, and we had a tour, 2 tours by museum staff there as well. Participants commented that they liked the combination of having tours and free time, which is what we allowed. So that was an immersive all-day experience too.
Yeah, and like what a cool opportunity as well for students who normally might be seeing these arts on like presentations in classrooms to actually go to the sites and see them. Yeah, that is so cool. I know you touched on this a little bit, Professor Burke, but how does going to these historical sites impact students?
Well, this is actually another slightly off topic, but the interesting thing is it was students, and we had undergrad students, we had grad students, we had faculty, and we had staff. So it was a really nice mix. All 3 field trips, we had a really nice mix of people that met new contacts on campus. But I do think that seeing the art in person is so powerful and so important. And many of the students had not really been off campus much, maybe, or didn't have the opportunity to go to these sites otherwise.
Yeah. Professor Shirey, we talked about the impact on students, but what do you hope visits like these will do for the department in the future?
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, the wonderful thing about the field trips one thing that happened was that students from all different majors came along with us. Faculty from different departments came along, alums came along with us. So I really think it helped people understand the department a lot better and get to know the faculty and the staff in the department as well. So that was really a surprise. I guess I thought when we started the field trips that it would be mostly students in art history classes, but that's not how it turned out. We put it up on TommyLink and people heard about it, and the field trips all filled really quickly.
Yeah, the appreciation for the arts at St. Thomas just runs so deep. It doesn't matter your major. Yeah, well, thank you two so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us as we highlighted some of St. Thomas's Elevating the Arts grant recipients. These Tommies are using their creativity to continue making an impact on our campus and community. We'll see you next school year when we look into new arts and projects here on campus. I'm Grace Wolfel. The College of Arts and Sciences is on a mission to enhance